to the computer.
Okay.
It's all happening.
I'm here for it.
It's all happening.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to cut to this. And we're going to do the intro.
All right. Let's do the intro.
Okay.
About the art of making films, no matter how small the budget. And Alex Stock and Trevor L. Nelson.
How was that?
That was bad. That was so bad. It was choppy. Were you playing DJ on that?
I was trying to.
That was so bad.
Okay, let's try it again.
That was horrible. All right, go ahead.
Here we go.
Welcome to the No Budget Filmmaking Podcast, a podcast about the art of making films, no matter how small the budget. And now, here are your hosts, Alex Stark and Trevor L. Nelson.
Oh, hey,
Much
everyone.
better.
Thanks for joining us.
You guys missed a really horrible intro attempt before this, so came in hot with the laughter.
It was pretty nice.
Okay. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is episode 55 of the No Budget Filmmaking Podcast. I'm Trevor L. Nelson.
And I'm Alex Dark, and today we're going to be talking about grip hardware every filmmaker should know.
Yes.
But first, Trevor,
Alex,
what are you drinking?
I am drinking a delicious Miller Lite. I'm still stuck on Miller Lite. You know, I went through the first 30 pack pretty quickly. The wife was, dealing with some child issues and continued to drink. I mean, she was just pounding beers. Yeah. But this one's taking a little bit, so I'm stuck on Miller for a while.
Nice.
Yeah. She switched to straight vodka and moonshine, so I'm like, I'm the one, picking up the rear with the beer. So still stuck on Miller. What do you drink?
The rear with the beer. That should be Miller's new slogan.
That's the slogan for Beer Bellies Anonymous. Picking up the rear with the beer.
I like it. I'm also sticking with my Stella.
What a lightweight with those 0.8 ounces that you're not drinking. What a lightweight.
I know. That just means I have to drink too. So
boom, nailed it. Thanks, Stella, again. But if you'd like to sponsor this podcast, by all means, Stella, I will drink you religiously on this podcast if you sponsor it. So
absolutely.
Hit us up.
All right, Trevor, what's new?
The biggest thing that's new is now we're on Amazon Podcasts.
That's right. Amazon.
So
it's actually within their music app, Amazon Music. When they pitched it to me, as if they contacted me directly.
Yeah. When you got a chain mail.
Yeah. When we were sent a copy and paste from Facebook.
Yeah.
Yep. They said that it was going to be on Audible, which was surprising, but I guess it kind of made sense. Okay. But no, not on Audible. It's Amazon Music.
Okay.
So right now it's available.
So if you guys, for some reason, are Bezos bros or Bezos bitches, and really like everything to be in the Amazon landscape, listen to us on that. Switch on over there, so you don't have to, support Apple or support Google or anybody else. You can instead support Amazon.
Totally. And now you can have your Alexa, do its thing with our podcast.
True.
I guess.
That's true.
I said that, and mine activated, so I didn't actually say anything because I was worried that it would start playing the podcast right now.
I guess so. Before that, they couldn't do it on the Alexa. I mean, I would assume that they would just
Spotify or something.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, but now it's
like native
integrated. Yeah. Okay, that's the biggest new thing because guess what? We're still all in the suck and wildfires are still burning, and I can't even go out of my house because the air is so bad, and I'm like an hour away from the fires. It's ridiculous.
What's crazy is right now I'm in my garage, which is the first time I've been able to really go in here because it's been so bad.
Yo, Wizard, don't reveal a peek behind the curtain. You're in your swanky home office.
That's right. My swanky home office with a big wide open door leading to the outside.
That works like a garage door where I could park a car if I wanted to, but I don't have room.
Mm-hmm. My office is also a laundromat, but just for me.
Yes.
But yeah, it's actually today and yesterday were the first days that the weather was and the air quality was moderate. It said moderate.
Yeah. Wow. That's a sad day when moderate. We're looking for a moderate.
Yeah, because it's been either unhealthy for sensitive groups or just unhealthy.
Yep.
And at one point, it was probably very unhealthy.
Yeah, I heard at one point it was like smoking 3 packs a day if you went outside for like an hour.
Yeah, that's what people, I heard all those sort of stats about it, like 12 packs a day, 3 packs a day, but it was all very vague. It was like, where exactly? Yeah. Like going outside, where?
And
like
for how long?
Next to the fire? And for how long?
Yeah. If you go into the fire and start breathing without a mask, it's going to be like inhaling smoke.
Yeah, basically.
Word of life. And I'm a doctor. So
yeah, you're going to have to invest in patches because you're going to be addicted to wildfire smoke.
That's sweet, sweet wildfire. I'm just going to get my sweet wildfire scented candles at Bed Bath & Beyond.
Absolutely.
One of our new sponsors, Bed Bath & Beyond, for some reason likes no budget filmmaking.
Yeah. I prefer burning cedar.
Interesting. I like Midnight Bliss.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right. So are we going to play our usual now that we don't have what's new?
Yeah, that we're in quarantine and all that. Might as well. Let's just do it. Let's do it. We did reveal a little bit about ourselves right now, but let's just do our question of the day.
Here's our question of the day randomly.
All right.
Random question.
Randomly, never seen this, never heard of it.
If you could be guaranteed one thing in life besides money, what would it be?
Money.
Trevor.
Oh, wait.
Trevor, to you.
Money. So, like, I get money anyway?
Yeah. Like, we're pretending you have money.
Okay.
This is fiction, Trevor.
Yeah. Jet skis. That's all I want in life.
You wish for something you could buy with the money you already have. Okay.
Oh, damn it. I totally ruined this game. 2 jet skis.
Wow.
Yeah, I went for it. Quad skis. Oh, man. I mean, I'm gonna go with the really dumb answer. It's just like, like a very it's so hard because if you have money, I know they say money doesn't buy you happiness, but damn well does it help.
Guaranteed happiness.
You know what? I mean, let's be honest. If we had money already, everything would be golden. But the one thing money can't buy is a successful film career. Yeah. I would like I don't know. Like you can keep throwing money at stuff and make films. Doesn't mean that anyone's going to watch it, and you're just not hemorrhaging cash.
That's true.
I mean, my wife is within earshot, so of course, if I could wish for one thing that isn't money, it'd be the health and happiness of my family. But
absolutely,
now that she's not paying attention, it's absolutely a film career.
Yeah, it's more booze.
Oh God! But I have money, so I could buy it.
That's true.
You know what's funny is that everyone says money can't buy happiness, but we are having so much trouble trying to figure out something that we couldn't just get with money that would make us happy.
I know. So mine, I'll tell you right now, if I could be guaranteed one thing, it would be that vMix would work upon launching for this podcast. So this wouldn't take.
The kicker is that nobody's going to watch. Yeah. Nobody's going to watch this, yet we spend so much time on vMix trying to set it up.
It's barely, in my opinion, it's barely to make the video. It's just to get the audio. Because from our experience, this audio quality is better than doing it through Skype and other things we've tried.
Yeah, Skype has the auto clipping. So if one person talks, the other person's microphone is clipped, and Lord knows we talk over each other all the time. So that wouldn't work. Zoom audio is pretty good, but I mean, if we're going to do Zoom, why not do vMix and actually make a supplemental video at the same time? Because why not? Two things with the effort of one. But yeah, it'd be great if vMix worked every time. What's the thing that boggles my mind is that we had it working last time. You saved it, and then you opened it again this time, and it didn't work.
Didn't work. Didn't do a
no
thing
reason
that it was supposed to do. But then started a fresh project, and within seconds, it worked
everything
fine.
Worked.
Which is so dumb.
Dumb.
I still, at this point, don't know how this is working and the other ones weren't. But
so here's my question. Did you use that old project file when you had this Yamaha mixer that I now have?
Yes.
Maybe that was it.
It was only I never really tried, I don't think, or I wasn't successful in getting you into the mixer. So it was just a source, an audio source. Anyway,
interesting.
I don't know. But on to the topic at hand.
That's your answer, VMix? All right,
yeah,
that's fair.
Right now.
Okay.
It probably will change minute to minute, but right now that's the thing that is really big in my beans.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was
guaranteed that my wife is mute and can't yell at me for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Money can buy that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, topic at hand today. You know what? We've talked about equipment before, especially because we have an obsession with equipment. But it tends to be, we talk about cameras, we talk about like what to bring to a shoot. But I think a lot of people don't really have the basic knowledge of grip gear and what they should have, what is very useful.
Yeah, the things that keep popping up on set that you'll probably run into over and over.
And not only that, but like, some of the stuff, even with a no budget film, you can rent it for not that expensive if you don't own it. I mean, you should own a couple C-stands. I don't think anyone will have Menace Arms
to rent. I mean, you can rent stands for $2. It's like so cheap.
So, and how much is a Menace Arm to rent?
It's not. I mean, it's cheap, super cheap. And the cool thing about grip to me is there's just so much of it. There's so many crazy little things because at the end of the day, the grip department is kind of like this crazy, like engineering group of madmen, like fabricators that are able to cobble together things to, basically make whatever kind of bizarre thing that the director wants to do, like have a camera float on a weather balloon, over like the scene or whatever. It's like, okay, well now the grip department has to figure out how to mount a camera to a weather balloon. It's like, and they have all these crazy little gadgets that they can use. And it's almost like these different erector sets that exist for people, Yes. But I think that all that stuff aside, like you can get like super complicated into rigging and like different types of weird stuff, but we're going to talk about the basics today. The things
what's so funny is that I was looking, I was when you put one of those on the list, I immediately thought of the very expensive version, and so now this makes a lot more sense to me.
Yes.
But yes. So we'll start off with C-stands.
Oh yeah, C-stands for sure. Number one thing that you gotta learn how to use. Because it's like a regular baby stand, but with extra features. So you have like the legs,
extending arm.
You can extend the arms, like the grip heads, all that kind of stuff, to be able to mount things, to be able to use flags. You can use the arms to like arm out lightweight lights like KinoFlow, Divas, and stuff like that. You can even like double up on arms to get a little bit longer of an extension. And stuff like that, which is all super handy. And then even the legs of the C-stand, like a standard C-stand, are adjustable. So you could have kind of this off-kilter, maybe you're on stairs or like there's a bunch of rocks around and it's not exactly flat. You can kind of adjust the legs to accommodate for that, which is pretty cool. Definitely a useful stand.
Yeah, I think if you talk about film stands, I think the C-stand is probably the most widely utilized one on set, and even on bigger sets where they have giant high rollers, they have giant combo stands, they have all these stands for especially heavier lights. You're still going to see a truckload of C-stands that can hold flags, can hold silks. Like C-stands are utilized no matter what budget you're working with because they are so
useful.
Yeah, so useful.
Yeah, they're kind of like the go-to stand, I would say, for most things. I mean, obviously they do have a weight limit. They are
gotta have sandbags usually.
Yeah, and they are at heart like a baby stand. So you're limited in that you don't necessarily want to put like giant HMIs on them, especially if you're like arming out stuff. Like you still have to like deal with safety. And there are, I would say, to new filmmakers out there, learning the proper way to sandbag C-stands and also to set the grip head so that it tightens down on itself versus releasing when there's on one end, all that kind of stuff. That's kind of like lesson number one should learn if you're jumping into a set and doing any kind of like lighting or working as a swing type position.
Yeah, I think my first day in a production class at USC, it was about C-stands and how to adjust them so that if the thing starts falling, it tightens the knuckle rather than loosening it, which is like a big thing. So if you have a heavy light at a 45-degree angle, you want to have it. And again, these are basics, but not everyone knows it. You want to have it so configured so that if that knuckle is not completely tightened and that arm starts moving down, the process of it moving down will actually tighten it more and it won't fall.
Yeah.
Because if you have it the other way,
collapse, danger, people injured, equipment damaged, all sorts of stuff.
The worst stuff.
But the other cool thing about C-stands is they have another version called the C+ stand, which, some people like, some people don't like, but basically it has a turtle base, which means you can take the actual stand part apart from the legs of the C-stand. So it makes it easier to travel with because the legs, the way they fold up, they're not the most friendly for cases or for even like stacking and stuff like that. So you can take the legs off. But then what happens is that leg piece accepts a junior pin. So that means you can take a big junior light like a sky panel and put it right onto the legs down on the ground. So you have a really low light. Or you can put an adapter, a junior to baby adapter, and have a low baby stand. So you kind of have like a bunch of different options.
It's like almost like 3 stands in one if you have the right adapters.
Yeah, but what you lose out on is that kind of like Rocky Mountain leg ability to be able to set it up on uneven surfaces.
Raise the legs up and down and stairs. Yeah. Again, another term people might know, the Rocky Mountain leg. That is what Alex was talking about earlier, where it's an adjustable leg that rises on the shaft of the C-stand.
Correct.
That you can, again, like Alex said, put on rocks or put on stairs for stability, but you lose out with the C+, but you gain a little bit more. So maybe have a little bit of each. Maybe have a couple of each.
It's good to have both. I know some people are like super against the C+ stand. I don't know why, but I like them. I think they're useful.
Yeah. I don't have any problem with them. Yep.
So I think it's always good to have a mix.
And we utilize them all.
The next stand is another sort of like Swiss Army stand, the combo.
Woo! We just got some. We just got some new to us.
We just got some new combos. The beauty of the combo is at the top, it has both a junior pin receiver and a baby pin that can sort of flip out. And you can mount a baby light right onto it. You could also put like a C-stand grip head right onto it that way if you wanted to, or you could use a junior lollipop grip head in the junior pin slot, or you could put like an actual junior pin light right in there. So again, it's just kind of like a useful stand to have. And one thing that I've seen them being used for more and more, especially the low boy ones, the lower ones, is for sliders.
Yeah.
Because they are kind of a double duty stand. You can use them for like a Dana Dolly slider, but then at the same time have a useful stand when you're not using the Dana Dolly slider. You can have a stand that can be both baby and junior. That is like a little bit lower than your normal sort of baby or C stand.
Yep. Yep.
So
I like combo stands are a little beefier. They're not as easily transportable in like your SUV or something like that. That's why the lower ones are great because those travel well. But again, they're not as tall. But the combo stands, they can be beefy. And they are heavy.
They are heavy. And they're like steel, so they are heavy.
Yeah.
But they're
designed to hold lights like straight on, big on the lights. I mean, you're talking about your RE 21Ks can fit on a combo.
Oh my god! Yeah, everything.
Yeah, they're beefs, but they're great. I love combo stands. And like Alex said, the ones that are smaller that are for Dana Dollies are really good to have just in your truck of goodies, even if you're not using a Dana Dolly, because light positioning. You don't always want the lights up high.
I know. Yeah, you always have. There's always like a scenario that pops up where you need a light to be lower than a normal C-stand. And with a C-stand, you have the option of mounting a light onto the actual arm and like sort of flipping it upside down and, doing this sort of like weird V-shape mounting scenario. So it is possible to do it, but it's just nice to have a lower stand. It just is. Yep. Then you have the high rollers.
High rollers. I love high rollers, especially for frames, for your silks. As the name implies, rollers, they're on wheels. They have junior pin receiver on top.
Yep.
And they also have the lollipop, kind of like the C-stand, but beefier. Big old grip head. And they're, like I said, they're great especially for things that are, I don't know if you'd say necessarily heavy, but awkward and need to be moved, like your giant 20x20 silks. If you're trying to block out the sun, or if you're trying to, put a little diffusion on a giant light, it's great because if you need to move the light, or you need to move the frame, it's super easy with the wheels. They lock off. Super convenient. Telescopic head, all that good stuff. And again, with the grip head,
you can get a couple different kinds. They have the high rollers, they have the high rollers, they have the sky high rollers, all that stuff. So different.
And then there are ones that have the Rocky Mountain leg, like I was talking about, which is an adjustable one leg, so you can put it at an angle, kind of stuff like that. It all depends, but generally your high rollers are big beefy stands with wheels.
Yes, and they also. I would say primarily they're used for frames and the overheads and stuff like that. But basically anything that has an ear is great for that. So you can use speed rail ears to basically create they call it a goalpost. So you have two high roller stands with speed rail going between each one. So you could use that to put up a backdrop. If you had like a fabric backdrop that you wanted to just drape instead of have it tight on a frame, you could use that to sort of to mount a light in the middle of the speed rail between two stands so that the stands aren't visible in the shot, but you have a light right in the middle, above actors or something like that. So all that kind of good stuff, high rollers are great for. And again, they're super beefy, they're steel. They're kind of like you're limited into what you can put on them because they are sort of manual raising. So you have to actually raise them yourself and then tighten them with, the tightening bolt. So you do have to be careful not to overload them with too much stuff that you can't even lift it. Or if it comes crashing down, it's dangerous and all that kind of stuff. But high rollers are great. Excellent stuff.
Yep. Oh, God, yeah.
Next on the list, clamps. Good old clamps.
Man, clamps are great. Alex has some kind of weird love affair with Mayfair and Cardellini clamps.
I do. Well, mostly Cardellini's. They're the best.
Yeah.
Cardellini's are the
He loves them.
Yeah, because you can do so much with them. Cardellini's are the type where they have like a threaded baby pin and these jaws that kind of expand to however long the baby pin is. So you can really sort of tighten down on really large beams or like awkwardly shaped things.
Pipes.
The jaws have kind of a squareness to them, so you can tighten them down on flat things like a 2x4, but you could also tighten them down on a like a speed rail, like a round or a square tubing, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, all that kind of stuff, all the clamps are great for just mounting lights onto random thing like cabinets. On a little shoot that we did one time, we had a very tight space to work in a kitchen, and we had to mount I think it was a 150 Fresnel to backlight an actor in this like really tiny kitchen, and there wasn't a lot of room to hide it. And we had to get it out of the frame, so we had to clamp onto one of the cabinets and just kind of leave it open slightly.
And the actual grip clamp usually has a rubber interior, so it doesn't do much damage while holding tight. Depending on what kinds you get. So that's why it is very helpful if you need to clamp on things that you can't necessarily use nail-ons or anything like that, so that you're not damaging anything. It could be some damage if you tighten it too hard, if you're Hercules, but for the most part, they're pretty forgiving in the damaging of furniture and kind of anything that could be hurt by a hard clamp being clamped right on.
Totally. And to me, the magic of the Mayfair, also known as the super clamp, is the little spud adapters that you can put different types of pins in it. So you can have a normal baby pin, or you can also, there's a bunch of different like custom one, like for specific things, but there's also one that is what I think of as more of like a photography pin. That is technically a baby pin, but it also has a little screw mount on the end. So you can use that type of thing. I find that to be useful for putting, like, you could put a little ball head on the end of it to mount like a monitor, like a small little monitor on something. Or if you have like these kind of small battery powered LED lights, a lot of times they don't have like a baby pin mount. They have a screw for like a Mayfair or for like a Noga arm or something. And so you can do that kind of stuff and mount those guys.
I'm using kind of a little knockoff Mayfair to hold this camera up.
There you go.
Got a Noga arm attached to that to hold the camera up for this podcast for the video. So they're super useful. And that one is clamped onto a book, and pretty sure that the book will be fine.
There we go.
Yeah, it's they're very useful. Good to have in a gig bag, and again, these clamps are pretty much designed to not have too much damage or create too much damage on whatever you're clamping them, because they're pretty sure you're not going to clamp it onto,
grandma's old.
They're pretty sure you're going to clamp it onto some things that you don't want to leave marks on.
Yeah, and there are ways to clamp. You can put pieces of wood in between what you're clamping and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Let's see, moving right along. I mean, we're just plowing through this. It's great.
Man, this is going to be a short-ass episode, and then most people are going to be like, hell yeah. You spent more time talking about what's new in Amazon podcasts and all that.
I know. Let's see. Menace
so this
Arms.
Is what I screwed up on, the Menace Arm. So I, of course, was thinking the Max Menace Arm.
Which is
super dope. $6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. What those are like almost like, man, I don't even know, like, they almost look like the things that pull engines out of cars. They're just a giant weighted base that then like has an arm that goes over. So again, almost like your high rollers and putting a light without seeing the stand. That's what Menace Arms are kind of used for. But that's the Max Menace Arm. The regular Menace Arm is...
The regular Menace Arm is basically 3 pieces of hardware with a speed rail. And so you have an ear that you put into, like your high roller stand to hold the speed rail kind of in the center or slightly off center. You have a piece for the end of the speed rail that holds the light that has either a junior pin or a baby pin to hold the light. And then on the other end, you use the opposite. Like if you're using the baby pin on the front, you put the junior pin on the back and you use it to hang a sandbag or other type of counterweight off the back. And then the earpiece, they all have sort of like D-rings on them. So you can use ratchet straps to sort of make sure that you're not going to, bend the speed rail with something that's too heavy, that's armed out too far. And it just kind of like relieves the stress on the speed rail itself. And you sort of ratchet strap to these D-rings and then back to the stand. So that's definitely
pretty good explanation.
It's hard to explain. It's definitely something that you don't want to be thrown into without knowing what to do, because you'll be getting and ratchet straps and you won't know what to do. But it's definitely something worth learning, because Menace Arms, I mean, they're just so useful. I mean, so on Larry, we use them all the time on remote shoots, because we would do this sort of like this lighting setup where we had 2 Menace Arms to get the key lights behind Larry and the guests, cross lighting. And we didn't want to have the stands, because we were shooting 3 or sometimes 4 cameras all at once. So we wanted to have like as much open area as possible that was stand free, to be able to be a little bit more loosey-goosey and not have to really like tighten up on all these angles and deal with all that stuff.
It just basically is a way to hang your lights without you seeing the stand. So if you need, again, if you're like Alex said, if you're doing a multi-cam shoot where you have multiple angles and there's a chance that the stand could be just poking out because you're trying to cross-light the subject or cross-light the interviewer, Menace Arms just kind of hang it in, just kind of slide it in from above so you see nothing.
Totally. And another cool sort of application of it that used on a feature is like in the shot, it was 4 people at a booth at a restaurant. And they wanted to have the light coming from sort of the wall side of the booth. And so they put a Menace arm right next to the camera, arming over the 4 people in the booth. And they were able to then put like a reflector right on like where the wall would be, and sort of like position it exactly where they want it to be, because it had a grip head on it. So they had a lot of sort of different options of how to position it and all that kind of stuff. And so they were able to put this very sort of nice positioned reflector and then shoot a light into it from off camera.
Yeah, they're super useful. They break down, aside from the speed rail, they break down really small. So I love Menace Arms. I'd love to get a Max Menace Arm, but those are beefs and expensive.
Oh my gosh, I would love to as well. I'd love to have 2.
Yeah,
I like to have 2 of everything.
Of course, but they have to match.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, moving right along, there is also wall spreaders. So
yes.
You've used wall spreaders more than I have. So you take. I mean, I know how much you love freaking grip gear. So go ahead, talk about wall spreaders.
Gosh, wall spreaders are great. So there's 2 different kinds of wall spreaders that are like the standard style of wall spreaders. There's speed rail, and then there's 2x4. So you've got like the option. There's benefits to both, I would say. Like if you have a grip truck filled with what they call like a pipe organ of different lengths of speed rail, that's great. But the 2x4 option is great because you can easily just go to a Home Depot and grab a 2x4, cut it to length, right? Because you know, not every room is the same width. But basically, it's a piece of hardware that connects the 2x4s or the speed rail to be able to run across the room from one wall to the other, and then tighten with basically like a hand tighten with like a hand screw, and it pushes the ends of the pipe or the 2x4 into the wall more, so that it has like a tight fit and a grip on the walls, so that you can mount things to it. And
it's basically it's like a mobile lighting grid almost. So you just can it uses the tension between the 2 walls to be able to hold. I don't know what the max weight is on the 2x4 wall spreader.
It depends. I mean, so the thing about wall spreaders are they're not super, I don't know, they're not super easy. You do need like two people to set them up. And they can damage the wall. Like the way they're built, they do have mounting points for you to screw them right into the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which would be great, extra security, especially if you're going into like a stud, right? Yeah. So you can also do it where you basically create these little feet for it out of like an apple box or just, like a piece of wood, and you can wrap it up. And, some people use like rubber on the bottoms of them so you can like grip. Mm-hmm. Other people use like duvetine or whatever, just to like try to make it less invasive, less damaging to the wall, because basically you are applying pressure to the wall. And so having like a larger surface area to apply pressure to means that you're not going to like punch a hole in the wall, as easily. Right. But that also means that you're not getting as secure of a hold per se, because you're using like a large piece of wood that's covered in duvetine, and it could slip, or it could break off or whatever.
I'm not going to lie. Wall spreaders make me nervous, especially because I feel all the time with wall spreaders, people get a little too cocky, I guess you could say, because they're like hanging 3 or 4 lights on it. And I'm like, and I get it. But when it is duvetine or an apple box, I'm like, you know what? Like, I know the deepest of my heart that it'll be fine, but like some people just are too
zealous.
Overzealous and too trusting of them, and so they will throw like 4 or 5 lights on them, and not light lights, not they'll throw some heavy lights on there. They'll throw a 1K on there. They'll throw something on there but then they'll throw 4 of them on there, and I'm like, my god.
I think you'd be safe with if you're dealing with LEDs and stuff, and these kind of
LEDs,
like 1x1 sort of light panel type things, like all that kind of stuff is good. I think whenever you're rigging anything, any type of heavy thing over where people are going to be, it's questionable. I mean, you got to make sure you're really doing it right.
Yep.
And that goes for the wall spreaders, the Menace Arms, the C-stands, like all of it, like goalposts, like everything. You got to make sure you're doing it right, because grip, it's metal, it's heavy, and it's high, and you can fall on people.
And that's definitely why, like, before you do anything on set, is practice with these. I mean, a wall spreader, like a wall spreader kit, maybe used is like $100. And so, does, like, not to say you should run out and do it now. Yay, COVID. Maybe we don't have the money, but buy some of the stuff and test it out, because especially Menace Arms, like Alex said, if you don't know what to do with that ratchet strap to go through the D-ring and make sure you're taking pressure off the actual speed rail, that speed rail will bend, and you'll try and put a 12-foot speed rail, and then you'll also try and put a sky panel on it, and you'll just and it very questionable.
Definitely questionable. The other thing is, like you said, all this grip stuff, it lasts forever. And so because of that, and it's all kind of relatively cheap, C-stands, wall spreaders, Menace Arms, it's like, $100, $200. So renting them is really cheap. It's like $2 a day. So if you wanted to rent a high roller and a Menace Arm kit and all that kind of stuff, you could probably do it for under $10. It's just the insurance that might be, questionable for you, but it is worth it, I would say, to give it a try. And also, in my opinion, have someone who actually knows how to use it on set the first time that you're using it, so that you can learn from them and sort of see what they're doing in practice under supervision, so that you're not just sort of winging it and accidentally doing it wrong.
Exactly. Yeah. And speaking of high rollers, the next one kind of goes with the high rollers. Your butterfly overhead kits.
Yes. And so now I'm not sure about this. I've always thought butterfly and overhead kits are the same thing, but butterflies are smaller. I've always thought that like butterfly is 10 foot and under. Like you got your 8x8s and your 6x6 are called butterflies, and overheads are like 12x12s, 20x20s and above.
I always thought they were the same thing no matter what.
I mean, they could be. I don't know. I have no idea. But either way, they're frames with rags is what they are.
Yeah.
And you usually like a 6x6, I would say, is the only one that you could, and a 4x4 are the only ones that you could use in a C-stand. And they still might be questionable. The thing about them is they become giant sails because you're basically taking this big fabric and putting it up in the air. And if you're outside, which you probably are on a windy day, those things will start flying, So you got to, again, be very careful when you use these. And the bigger you get, the more complicated they get to set up because you do have to tie them down with like guy lines and stuff like that, all these different things that help make sure they're safe and they're not going to move. And if they do get blown, it's not going to blow right into like a group of people, all that kind of stuff.
So according to Adorama, Avenger 6x6 is called butterfly overhead. So interspersed. And then you have another one that is a 12x12 they call a butterfly overhead. So I don't think it really matters.
Interesting.
I think they're just assuming that it's, if it's a frame for your silks and for your flags and all that, and your nets, it's an overhead or a butterfly, whatever you want to call it. Just say what length you need, and there you go.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and I mean we have a 20x20 kit.
We actually sold that, but now we have.
Did we?
We sold one of them.
Oh, we cut the piping for the 10 by 10,
12x12 because 20x20 is where it starts getting questionable in terms of you needing to really rig it right and have it. I mean, 12x12. Don't get me wrong. You could go crazy with that too, and be in the danger zone. But 20x20 is like really where it's at, and you want to be careful. So we ended up selling that. Going 12x12 is our biggest one.
20x20 just means more people too.
Yeah, more people.
Like more people, and you just don't like. Again, we're trying to do no budget filmmaking here, so the less people you need to rig up stuff, the better. The less you have to pay them, if you're paying them at all. I mean, 12x12 is pretty good.
Yeah, but and
even that's not expensive.
The thing about these is that you can use them to block out the sun, like you said, to create kind of like that overcast outdoor vibe. But you can also use them as reflectors and shoot, big HMIs into them, stuff like that. And then also, you can use them as negative fill with solids inside. And one thing that they're really good for is, so if you're shooting an interior during the day, you have to deal with sun coming through the windows when you don't want them to, right? Because the sun will rotate throughout the day, like across your house or whatever that you're in. And so at 10 in the morning, the sun will be at one position, and then at 3 p.m. it'll be in a different position. And so you can make these.
So actually, do it even more. So during your master, the sun will be in one position, and during your close-ups and medium shots, it'll be in a totally different position. So your lighting will be all off. Yeah,
and so what you can do is create these shelves and put them outside above your window to shield the sunlight from coming in and creating like shafts of light. And then you can control it more and like have HMIs outside the windows that you want the light to come through, and not outside the windows that you don't want it to come through. And you can control the way the light comes in versus having to rely on the sun being, where you want it to be at all times. So,
which is funny because you'll see, I get a lot of people asking me, like, I think my dad even asked me, like, why, when it's a bright sunny day out, do they have lights blasting in windows in a house? And that's the exact reason right there. You want to control the light, and you got to get rid of the light first that you can't control and put in light that you can control.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Because unfortunately, it takes a long time to shoot things.
Yeah.
So if you are using real sunlight, you got a limited window. I mean, it's going to move every every like 15 minutes, you're going to notice that it's like slightly moving up the wall, or like your light's coming in a different angle. So it really is best to try to block that out and control it as much as possible.
Well, even one step further, because it takes so long to shoot things, you might be shooting on 2 different days, and the next day is cloudy and hazy, and you got none of the light that you had coming in the next day, and you're still trying to match shots from the day before. So you want to be able to control as much as possible, even like not even just within the day, but day by day by day by day, or shoot at night and stuff like that. If you want to shoot a night scene during the day, you got to block out those windows, and it's not as easy sometimes as just throwing some Duvetine over the windows outside, because it can look pretty shitty. But I mean, you got to control what you can control, and some of that is just blocking out the light with a 12 by 12 overhead with a nice little black on it. There we go.
And that's all we got for this particular episode. Those are kind of the main ones. Like we said, there's just so much grip gear out there. And I mean, I don't even know how long it would take to go through all of it. There's so many things that I don't even know what they do.
We have bought stuff that we don't even know what they do. We have bought things like pieces of what we thought was a pack of beaver board, and then some of the beaver boards just had holes in the middle with mounting points that we've never seen before.
Called donuts. But what are they for?
And like Alex said, grip guys are like some of the most resourceful people that you'll meet. They will make up stuff that I mean, a lot of these things like wall spreaders and all that were built just out of necessity.
Yeah.
And then they were brought on set, and then people were like, "Oh, those are awesome," and then they just keep manufacturing them because everyone else wanted to use them. And so you'll find stuff that doesn't even have a name, because there's maybe like 2 pieces that in the world that a guy made because he needed them in the time, and he can weld, and he put together 2 pieces of metal, and it worked for that situation, but it will never work for any other situation ever again.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I would suggest, if you want to learn more about grip stuff, there's, I mean, just a ton of info out there. Also, just going and looking at what's available. If you live in an area that has stores, you can always go in there and check things out, check out what they have available, and the people will explain the things to you most of the time.
Yeah,
if they're not super slammed.
In LA, you got Film Tools, which is awesome to go check out stuff. They will explain it all to you. Even the stuff that I have never seen before, they seem to know it, rightfully so. They're trying to sell you on it. But yeah, definitely check it out. Because it can make your shoots so much easier if you have the right grip gear. Like we said, the wall spreaders, great. The clamps, amazing. You could put lightweight lights anywhere with those clamps. And I mean, Mayfers and Cardellini's are, I think Alex has at least 10 in his grip bag, because at any time someone's going to say, I want a light here, or I want a light here. And it's like, damn it. Okay, well, let me get a Cardellini out and clamp it up there, and it will hopefully hold and not fall on anybody.
Exactly. All right. Is that it?
I think that might be it. I mean, we could, like you said, we could go on for hours on this, but I think that'll do it for this episode. Thank you for joining us. You can get the show notes for this episode by visiting nobudgetfilmmaking.com.
And don't forget to hop on over to iTunes and subscribe to our podcast. While you're there, give us a 5-star rating while you feel so inclined. Oh, yeah, we had a 5-star rating. We'll have to tell you about it in our next episode.
Oh, my God. That's right. I know you guys are waiting patiently for that one. If you have any filmmaking questions, ask away in the comments section, and we will try to answer them.
Also, if you're in the giving mood, head on over to nobudgetfilmmaking.com/beer and buy us a beer. And we'll even give you a shout out on the next episode.
Also, don't forget to head over to fearlessfilmmakers.com to join our growing community of filmmakers. And we will check you guys next time.
All right. Later.
Peace.